minutes or okay. So I'm officially calling the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, March 25th. Secretary Shea, could you please take attendance? Secretary Shea, can you hear us?
Yes, sorry. Commissioner Colburn? I'm here. Okay. Commissioner Carranza? Commissioner Matua? Present. Commissioner Shimizu? Vice Chair Seon?
Present.
Commissioner Duran? Secretary Machina? Commissioner Bonifacio?
Present.
Commissioner Sagaste? Commissioner Valadoy? Here. Commissioner Ho? Vice Chair Ho?
Present. Present. Sorry, did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Lee?
Present.
Okay.
All right. Seeing that we have quorum, moving on to public testimony. Does anyone from the public wish to testify? Seeing not, let's move on to the approval of minutes. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the minutes from the January meeting?
I'd like to move for a motion on approving the minutes.
Anyone second that?
I second.
All right, perfect. The January minutes are officially approved. Sorry. Oh, is there any anyone that objects to the approval of the January minutes? Seeing not, the minutes are approved. Moving on to February. Does anyone have a motion to approve the February minutes?
I'll motion again to approve the minutes for
Perfect.
February.
Does anyone want to second that motion?
I'll second.
All right. Does anyone, seeing that we have an approved motion, does anyone object to the approval of the February minutes? Seeing not, the February minutes are passed. Moving on to guest speakers, it appears that Mr. Wilson has some information on town halls and commissioner participation. So, you could tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you, everyone. Ryan Wilson with the Mayor's Office and the communications team. So this Thursday, Mayor is hosting his first town hall of 2025, and all of you commissioners are invited to attend. Mayor and the managing director really would love to have your participation because it is a great way to get you out there, see how how the town halls go, but then also to hear from the community. So we think it's really particularly important if we can get the commissioners that are representative of that area to be there. So this one is going to be in Nanakuli. It's going to be at Kalanaʻoleʻo Beach Park. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that. And that's going to be Thursday, 7 p.m. if you can be there. So that's going to be for the communities including Nanakuli, Eva Beach, Makaha, etc. So if you're able to make it, that'd be really awesome. So that's the main thing to know. But we're going to have multiple town halls that are going to be coming up over the next couple months or so. And I will send out reminders for when those actually happen so you guys can attend when it makes sense. Okay?
Awesome. Is there
Thank
any
you.
questions for Mr. Wilson? Yeah, I mean, I could just comment a little bit on that. Last year, I had the opportunity to attend a town hall with Commissioner Shimizu. It was out in Cocoa Head District Park, and just kind of adding on to what you were mentioning, I think it's a great opportunity to really get ideas. I think especially for resolutions. Like I know for me and Commissioner Shimizu, a lot of the concern was around the Stairway to Heaven hike, among other issues. But it was a great way for us to really be exposed to the issues that people in our neighborhoods really care about. And so yeah, I second that, and that the town halls are really great to attend, especially for your district. Anyways, moving on. Is there any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing not, well, let's move on to reports from permitted interaction groups. Is there an update for the PIG for outreach?
I don't confirm. I don't believe there's an update for the
Okay.
for
Okay.
outreach.
Moving on. Is there an update for the PIG for environment? I know Commissioner Shimizu's out, but okay. Seeing not, moving on. Is there an update for the PIG for HYC newsletter?
I think each of us had to, write our individual parts. But I think Chair Lim was spearheading that, so I might wait for her.
Okay.
We'll probably have more by next month.
Okay. Perfect. We'll wait for that next month then when Chair Lim returns, hopefully. Is there any updates for the PIG for youth intervention and trafficking? I can take this. So next meeting we will be, and after consulting, both Kevin and Ryan and Chair Lim, we will be fortunate enough to have the director of Ho'onanapua. Sorry, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but pretty much the largest nonprofit in the state at combating sex trafficking. They're coming in, and human trafficking. They're coming in as a guest speaker for next meeting. So that's something to look forward to. Moving on to old business, Secretary Shea, is there any social media updates for us to be aware about?
I'm not sure if there's any updates for our survey, but I'm trying to look at the Instagram right now. It looks like we've reached 81 accounts. We've engaged with 2, and we have 935 total followers. Of course, this is without boosting any posts, and that's something that we can also look into. Maybe something that the outreach pig could discuss further in their meetings.
Yeah, perfect. And I'm assuming that I'm looking at our second piece on our agenda, this Honolulu Youth Commission survey. Is that the same? That's referencing the same Instagram survey, I believe. So, and you mentioned there's no updates for that.
Yes, I believe that Chair Lim said that we were going to have a revamp on that and the Instagram, but
Okay.
so far it hasn't happened that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Also, it's been since last month that we've posted anything on the Instagram, so that's also something that we could look into.
Yeah, I think the outreach PIG should definitely start looking into that. Putting out new content for especially this upcoming month, being that we haven't been active as much this past month. Well, anyways, thank you, Commissioner Shea or Secretary Shea. Moving on to new business and resolutions. I see we have a newsletter design and title on the agenda. Ms. Ryan, would you like to discuss a little bit about that with us?
Sure. So I was speaking with some of you about a potential title for the newsletter and wanted to get your input. I know Chair Lim is obviously taking the lead on it as well. And so what I'll do is I'll send out an email with some potential ideas for you all to consider, some additional names, and then maybe you can take a vote on it. But I'll just throw some out right now so you can think about it and think, okay, maybe this is where we want to go, or this is what I like, or this is what I don't like, and riff off of it a little bit. But a couple ideas would be future focus, HYC bulletin, that was one Chair Lim had, HYC highlights, HYC now, Honolulu Youth Commission connection, HYC insights, or HYC island insights. Just, I think what we're thinking about when we talk about a newsletter title, we want it to be interesting to people who are actually going to be reading it, but also we want it to speak to the content that you will be providing to it. if that makes sense, and what kind of insight you guys will have and bring to the articles that you write.
So you mentioned that we're going to send that out later on this, or later in the month, or later on this coming week.
Yeah, I'll send it out later this week, and I think it should probably wait until Chair Lim, but I'll leave that up to you guys to determine whether or not you want to make any decisions on that.
Okay.
But Chair Lim was obviously taking a lead on it, so maybe she would want to weigh in on it. So maybe next month on the agenda we can add a decision on what that newsletter title would be.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. I think we should wait for next month. But is there anyone else that would like to discuss it this meeting? All right, seeing not, I think let's push it to next meeting's agenda. All right, moving on to offsite HYC meeting proposal. I think that's also something you could speak about a little bit. So I saw that in one of your previous emails you mentioned it. Conducting these meetings at Waianae High School, Mililani High School, Honolulu High School. But could you talk a little bit more about that for the people on this meeting today?
Yeah, so the idea was, if we want to try to engage more students across the board, get a little bit more involvement from the broader youth community across Island. And so the idea being, maybe we utilize one of your schools to facilitate a place where you guys can actually have the meeting there at the school. See if we can create some kind of partnership with maybe a classroom or a teacher or a specific class or the student council that might be there, just so you can hear directly again from them, the same idea as the town halls, but hear directly from other students about what their concerns are on an island-wide level, and then, like you said, generate ideas for resolutions.
Yeah.
So the question for all of you today is whether or not that would be something that you would want to actually pursue. Do we want to think about that? Would there be a particular school that you think would be good to work with? Those kinds of things. So I leave that up to you.
Well, I mean, I'm all for it. So, but I don't know about the other commissioners. But I think it would be a good opportunity to get more of our outreach out there within the youth community, especially. So, just so they know we exist.
Yeah, I'm also all for it. I think that earlier on when we were discussing this proposal, I think Chair Lim I think the way that she kind of proposed it to at least to me was this idea that maybe we'll conduct our meetings at in person at a specific school. But I kind of like your point that I think that if we are going to do an offsite for our HYC meeting, I think it should function more as a town hall, because I just feel like if we're gonna entice kids at these different schools to come, I don't necessarily think they want to sit through reports from the PIG for youth intervention or trafficking, right? I think if they're going to be there, they're going to want to be engaged, they're going to want to be active. So I think maybe we can conduct, maybe instead of a meeting, using it as an official meeting, it would be more of an offshoot, something like more of like a town hall. I know last year we did a virtual town hall to mix results, but I really like the idea of going to a specific school, holding a town hall at the specific school, and really getting engaged with the youth of our state or of our county. So yeah, any other perspectives or opinions on our proposal?
I know Ryan's mentioned this to us before, and I really like the idea. But personally, I think that it'd work better as just having a meeting, and then students can come and see. Because I know most students aren't really gonna wanna. Most students that'll come, if they do come, they're probably not gonna wanna talk too much. They're probably gonna be a little intimidated, so it might not be the greatest turnout if it's a town hall. So that's something to think about.
That's a fair point. I agree. But I think we could try one meeting at least, maybe to test run it, kind of thing, see how it turns out. I think it just matters if we get a lot of communication with the school and make sure that the students know that's happening. That way we have a turnout at least.
Yeah.
And then I guess we'll try to engage with them to speak up about what they are concerned about. But that's a fair point that Commissioner Shea mentioned.
I think,
sorry, go
you know, I think if we phrase it more as a discussion around civic issues or around issues around our city, like if we pose it as like a town hall, okay, then yeah, I feel like that atmosphere may be a little bit, intimidating. But I think when I think about this idea of conducting a town hall at a school, one, it's like what type of kids in the first place are going to be attending a town hall, a civic town hall, right? And usually those kids would probably be a little bit more civically engaged, more open to express their viewpoints. And then two, maybe kind of building off Commissioner Shea's point, maybe the way we market it matters, right? Marketing it more as a discussion as opposed to you come and ask us questions. I think that's something to consider as well. But I mean, I still believe that keeping the town hall and the discussion aspect of the meeting, like on the offsite meetings, is crucial, because I think that's ultimately what's going to attract people, because people like discussion. And I don't necessarily think that us doing a demo meeting would necessarily draw as big of an audience as opposed to if we were like discussion about civics and the state of the county. I think that would bring a lot more people, because I think kids do have stuff to say, Any other comments or?
So I defer to anyone else that wants to speak on this first. So I want to make sure everyone is able to share their thoughts.
Yeah, I have some thoughts. I think it's a good idea to do either a town hall or a meeting. I'm not opposed to either, but I think in the beginning we have to do like a little educational part of who we are and what we do and what's our purpose. And then maybe from there we frame it as we're here to get insight from you to write more resolutions and to talk about things that are really impacting the youth right now. Then we might be able to get more participation throughout the event. But I do think it's a good idea either way. But I think if we start with more educational of who we are and then wrap that into a discussion, that could be a good idea.
Yeah, I agree with that point as well. Anyone else have any comments or concerns surrounding our proposal?
I think we mentioned this already, but I think we have to try to make sure we have the student councils at the different schools invited so they attend, because I feel like they'll have some stuff to voice mainly. So I think it's important we get them to make sure they come, because I think they'll have a lot of input.
Mm-hmm.
So one final thought on that for me is, maybe what we can do is next meeting, throw it on the agenda, we decide at the meeting and say, do you prefer to do something on a town hall that looks like a town hall, or do you prefer to do an actual Honolulu Youth Commission meeting? And then from there we decide, okay, what school do we want to do it at? And then lastly, if it is a town hall, do we want to decide, are we going to focus on a certain topic? So like if we were at Lelehua, right, up in Wahiwa, maybe we say, do we want to talk about the landfill siting, or something that might gain more interest from youth? So you make it a little bit more targeted along the way, because everyone brings up really good points. I think it's now just a decision of, okay, what exactly do we want it to look like, and then we execute on it. We decide, okay, here's where we're going to do it. This is what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I think that's that's the plan of action that we should take. But I think additionally, kind of circling back to what you mentioned, Ryan, about working with teachers, working with the school that we're going to do it at. I know for me in my school, whenever we have presenters, sometimes, as a class, or our teachers will assign us to go or attend, maybe for extra credit, or even as part of our course, or even just encourage us to go. And I know for us, like, we would have to write questions, right? Before we even went to the meeting, our teacher would like say, you know what, let's each write one question before we go, right? And so I think working with the student councils, like, Commissioner Bonifacio said, and working with the teachers, working with the school, so that we could foster a prepared environment would be something to look at as well. Any other comments or concerns surrounding the proposal? Okay, seeing not, let's move on to future agenda items. Discussion points for Youth Commission's meeting with the mayor. I'm not necessarily aware that we were having a meeting with the mayor, so Ryan, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so July 1st, we have set aside a little bit of time for the Honolulu Youth Commission to meet with Mayor, and he's really looking forward to it. We want to make sure that we're adhering to any sunshine laws. So what we want to do is figure out what topics we want to discuss with the mayor at that meeting. So the first thing is just the awareness, July 1 p.m. Oh, I'm sorry, from noon to 1 p.m. in this room here is where we're going to have it. Okay, so that's the thing for you guys to mark down on your calendar. And then the second thing is, what do we want to talk about? And they can be broad topics. We can kind of delve into it from there, but it could be climate change. It could be landfill. It could be sewer fees. It could be whatever it is that is kind of, if you want to discuss human trafficking, something along those lines, crime, those kinds of things. So this, I think, is the moment where we discuss what those topics are going to be, decide them so that we can write them down and have them ready for the July agenda, and make sure that mayor knows and what to expect when you guys come in there with your questions.
Yeah, awesome. I think, maybe we should kind of down to maybe 3 key topics that we want to discuss. And just looking at our PIGs, right? I know we have outreach and newsletter already. That's kind of more commission focused stuff. But we do have environment. We do have, youth intervention and trafficking, which is effectively crime. But I don't know if necessarily we want to talk about that. So does anyone have any ideas for, at least for now, surrounding what we may want to discuss with the mayor come July 1st?
I have some things that I'd like to discuss. one thing is, I know it's not really based on the PAGs we have, but the landfill, something I'd like to get more input about or information on. Because it concerns, future generations, future youth. So I think it's important we have a little discussion about, what they're planning to do and what the proposed site is going to look like and all those things. So,
Okay.
yeah, because I met with the Board of Water Supply Chief Engineer Annie Lau about a month ago, and we discussed about a potential, if there was a leak kind of thing from the waste that goes into the aquifers, it can cause some devastating harm for generations. So,
Yeah.
so it's hard to clean that kind of
Okay.
poison in the water. So
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's good we talk about that. That's just my thought.
Anyone else have any proposals for the July 1st meeting? Yeah, I think for me, I guess one topic that I think is very pressing for our state, for our city is definitely housing. I think discussing more about the city housing initiatives and agenda would be I think that's something to seriously discuss with the mayor.
Yeah, that's
And obviously we can talk more about it next meeting when Chair Lim returns. I know Commissioner Shimizu's on a trip, and we have more members, our commissioners at the meeting. But anyone else have any preliminary topics for what they would like to discuss?
I think one thing we talked about in the past was like traffic calming devices around schools. And that's one that I would potentially like to talk about. But I also agree on the affordable housing that I would like to discuss affordable housing. Because I think that's, even in our youth commission survey, that was like the most responded to thing that people in our age group are worried about.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Commissioner or Vice Chair Soon. Anyone else? Going once, going twice.
I think we should all brainstorm more and then come
Okay,
back
yeah,
next
perfect.
meeting.
I mean, obviously this is preliminary. You know, how about this? Let's circle back around next meeting. If we like, you know, I think if we still want if we still want housing, if we still want, you know, the traffic and housing, next meeting, then we can keep it. But if we want to scrap it, let's scrap it. Let's circle back around and take the next month to brainstorm. So let's.
One other thing, Chair, is I think Mayor loves to engage with students, loves to hear from young people. He's inspired by them. I think if every commissioner came with one idea, he would be more than happy to engage on those topics. So I think any ideas that you might have would be amazing.
Okay.
Homelessness, you know, climate change, whatever. So don't be shy about it.
Perfect. Okay. So we all have homework for the next couple of meetings. Then yeah. Let's move on to announcements. The next meeting will be April 15th to 2025 at 5:30 p.m. Resolutions and documents will be due 10 days before the meeting, as always. And so I will be calling this meeting to adjourn at 5:57 p.m. on March 25th, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.